All right. So I would like to show you some important things in our Buzz module. We're still in module 1 line at this point. Remember, you can use your bookmark tool that I showed you in another video and another time to get back to the pages. But I spent some time yesterday digging around in these activities because one of the feedback pieces that I got from our Padlet earlier this week is that people want more opportunities to make art. So I want to make sure that you know where all those opportunities are in Buzz, so we're taking advantage of that. So I went through and made a list for our level of everywhere the pages are so that I could show you where those are. So we start at page 4. And so it's important that you go through every page. I'm going to skip around a little bit, but of course, when you do it, you're going through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as we talked about in the beginning. But here is an activity where it's about meeting local artists and an actual activity, right? Remember that there's directions here. You can use the reading tools as we've gone over. Anytime there are options, it's choose one or the other. So this one has you with some adult supervision going on the internet and researching an artist who lives and creates locally. There are wonderful artists in Colorado and in the Denver area, in Westminster. And so I think it's really good to dig in and see who's doing creative things right here in our own backyard. This is an awesome activity. And so that's one option. And then it has you do a gestural drawing. I did some gestural drawing yesterday after reading some of these. That's some pears in a fruit bowl, and then hand. So gestural drawing is quick, loose, very ish kind of drawing that we did in the beginning of the year. Then there's option 2 here, which is another one where still you are finding a local artist, because when you go to page 5, you're going to then use that for your studio time. And this is where anytime you see studio time on Buzz, that's time to stop, take some time, and make some art. Okay, so that's not usually like, oh, I read the page, I'm done. It'll give you instructions. So it says for this activity, you'll create a sketch of something inspired by the artist you researched. So it'll look very different depending on what artist you found. If you need my help looking into some artists, you can let me know during questions. It will show you the resources, the materials that you need. Remember that we are really going to use our school supply list. So if it asks for something like chalk pastels and we didn't get chalk pastels, then use the next closest thing. If it really is just about adding color to a drawing, then you can use colored pencils, crayons, markers, right? Any of those things, even watercolor. So don't worry if it asks for a supply that we don't have. We will, and you can always talk to me about finding ways around it. There's detailed steps here about the activity. It will often tell you if you save your picture or need to turn it in the future. So that's one. The next one comes up in page 11. So see, here it is again, studio time. For this one, you're actually creating different art styles of landscape. Your artwork never has to look exactly like this artwork. I don't want you copying it. If you like the design and you want to use that as a starting point for reference or inspiration, that's up to you. But your artwork never has to look exactly like this. It's more about learning the styles. And by the time you get to this page, you will learn about realism, so you can start the realism section. When you scroll down, see it talks about oil pastels. Like I said, you can use crayons, colored pencils, anything to add color. Anytime you see these handouts, you don't have to worry about printing them. If you click on it, it will open in another page. The main point, you can recreate this handout idea in your sketchbook. So you could draw 2 lines that gives you 3 equal sections, label it realism, abstract, and non-objective. And you wouldn't even have to have lines between them. It's okay if they're not straight. It's okay if they blend into each other, okay? So don't worry about having a printer and printing these kind of handouts. It's not necessary. But there are wonderful detailed steps in here. Sometimes in the steps there will be videos or pictures showing you, and then it tells you what to do with the project. Keep it somewhere safe because you add to it again later. So next time When we come to page 16, you will have learned about abstract art. And then you start working on the abstract section of your landscape and continue it that way. And again, there's steps and details here. Then it comes back in page 21. So see, sometimes you're working on building up to a bigger project the whole time. Then you complete it with non-objective, where it can get fun and weird. And there's steps in there as well. And then when you get to the end of the activity, that is where it says, what is my assignment? This is where it talks about what you're going to turn in the Turnitin spot. And right now I have all of the Turnitin spots locked. Very soon next week, we are going to talk about, you guys are going to be building portfolios so that all of your work stays in one spot together. And it's really easy for you to just pop it in there and turn it in Buzz. So we'll be doing that next week. So for now, just make the projects and hold on to them, save them. But now at this finishing point, it takes you through, if there's a rubric in here, you can use it for some guidance, but don't worry about having to fill it out. Because we grade on Empower, we may or may not use some of these, but you don't need to worry about printing that and turning that in for now. And then it'll always say at the bottom, lesson wrap up, kind of what you're supposed to do with the whole thing. And the lesson is the whole, 0101 section. Complete and save the assignment. And then starting next week, you'll be able to start submitting your work through your portfolio as it's done. Okay. The next activity, once you're done there, is open and ready to go. So you can go learn about David Hockney. Make sure you pay attention to the studio time in there. There is one that asks about a photo collage. You don't have to print a photo, and if you want to and can, you can print one or print multiple photos, but you can use magazine pictures. Just get permission first before you cut up any pictures, okay? So there's lots of great opportunities to make art within Buzz if you pay attention to studio time.